There's no use in me starting this off with a peace greeting either, for obvious reasons. I mean, we all know what the deal is. JR Wisdom, I would not have called you a high yellow bitch made simp the way that Lion of MGTOW did, but I can't defend your stance. And Lion, imagine if he had taken someone like you or anyone else, or MOT, made, or BGS, and made jokes about our shade. Well, your shades. I honestly, I tend to forget about, sometimes I actually forget that I'm light-skinned. Sometimes. But imagine he did that. Well, he'd have been wrong. However, we don't have to stoop to that level if we want to attack his stance or we want to attack what he said. The thing is, JR, LOM got you on the simping part. You don't even simp really, but you tell men who fail with women to simp. You told unselected men to simp because Western chicks, the worst women on the planet, don't pick them. But guess which guys Western women don't pick? Western women don't choose normal men. You spoke about this, so you know. You just told normal guys to accept Western women's ideas of our inferiority and just accept to raise other men's kids before our own. As a Muslim man, I want to defend you, but you swept out from under me the leg on which to stand to defend you. It was wrong for that woman on some platform to call you a pencil Peter just because you didn't want that big broad in Uganda. But it's also wrong for you to tell childless men to just settle for being stepdads because the worst woman in the world won't pick them. You are a divorced father. You're not selling yourself short when you tell a woman, a single mother, that you're committing to her. When you tell childless men to do it, men who failed with, hell, take a man with kids, but he failed with a lot of other women, he's still selling himself short, and you're telling him to do it. We Muslim, bro, we don't accept injustice from women just because they're women. Especially knowing they would never accept injustice from us just because we're men. Hell, just because we're men, they would never accept injustice from us. It's that easy. Now, as for you, Locario, I got a question. If a man is a victim of paternity fraud, is it because he has no game or because he's deceived by a nasty bitch? See, a trusted source told me that you blamed a guy for this. My question is, what do you have to say about the moms defrauding such non-fathers? If your answer involves blaming men, telling us to learn game, or absolving women, then you're our enemy, and you don't deserve to know who your father is. There's no deity to worship except Allah, and he is not an oppressor, nor does he justify oppression. This being part 2 is addressed to you enablers and game coaches and the like. You men who say things to justify the wrong things that women are going to do. But also against good women in the West. And I don't necessarily mean women that actually work against this thing, but good women that are very passive. See, you good women made 2 errors. You took security in the preponderance of bad chicks out there in your streets. And the second error is closely related to the first one. You let these same women complain about male attention and still let them go get their male victims. When they had agendas while you waited for guys to approach you. No, this isn't how men learn. If one woman waits passively and another shows interest, then best believe the second one. If other things are equal or even close, the second one showing interest has an advantage over the passive woman. which is how agenda-having broads can win. Remember, women with agendas are shameless in approaching men because they're going to get victims. Women don't feel shame in going to get a victim. But you non-agenda having women that actually like men feel shame in going to get the men you like. Remember, Brittany Renner and Hiba Abuk went for their targets. But you good women who would have been glad to be with these guys and stay with these men did not do so. Whether you were teens or adults, you didn't do it. You see, you weren't ready to show interest like these two relative cougars were. When guys are approached, but they see that the ladies approaching them always have agenda, they learn that women only come with agendas, and therefore they don't know when they can both appeal to you and trust you at the same time. Hell, they don't even know if they appeal to you. You see, if a woman's approaching a man, if a man is being approached, the thing he's going to learn is women like this find me appealing at first. That's the first thing that he learns. Then when he sees that he doesn't really appeal to her, she's using him, then he understands that he does not appeal. Or he will never know to whom he appeals. You're letting these agenda-having cougars, or agenda-having women, period, get out here and teach men these bad lessons. We only know how women treat us. And if you were saying, well, I'm not going to treat these men at all, I'm going to be silent, I'm not going to say anything to them, I'm just going to say hello and reply if they speak to me and say hello, and that's really about it, you know, the bare minimum, because I don't want them to know that I'm interested. You take on this idea and this is what you will get. You're going to let Renners and Hibbers win by default, and that's what you've been doing. On top of that, despite not having agendas yourselves, you repeat the same rhetoric about boundaries that agenda-having women do. The feminists talk about boundaries a whole lot. Boundaries are great. Everyone's got them in everything. I mean, even husbands and wives have boundaries with each other, but you repeat the same rhetoric that bad women, that cougars, that false accusers spew. In addition to not shooting your own shots, you let them win. Now, if there's no competition, then fine, but you later, when you start showing your age, start to ask where your man is, and you're then admitting that there is a competition you previously denied. You let men learn that the only women that will show interest in them have agendas, nothing more, and then you yourself still will show more of an effort to flirt with the same dudes with whom your peers flirt, independently of your own individual wishes. So you don't pursue the guy you want, but you will pursue the guy that your friends want. Or at least you'll try. You've been reluctant to differentiate yourselves, fearing being shunned by these women who should have feared you shunning them. You would shun these lowbrow chicks to protect your reps, images, or your resources, but you won't shun them for us, ourselves, for men. Which tells us that even you well-meaning women have either undervalued us men, or you assumed we were just for the taking. Just like, or even more than the users and chicken heads that made you look so great. So when I say this is part 2, there are plenty of who have to be addressed in here. The enablers amongst the men, as an example, and you passive women who you don't mean any harm, but you're passive. Because you're not a chicken head with excessive weave and makeup and eyelashes and a BBL, you want to sit up and say, I'm a quality woman, I should be chased down and pursued. You don't understand that you let other women ruin that already. You will not be pursued. It can't happen. There's no safe way to do it. And so in this part 2, you have to understand and realize that what you did not do, though it is not your fault, you still sat back and let somebody else do. You let them do it for you. You let them do it against you. You made no effort. And you'll sit up and talk about why you shouldn't have to make an effort, but you made no effort. And you will not try. And what that sends, the message that sends to us is that you, being passive, still think you are better than men who have to be excellent to compete. You don't understand this, and this is important for you to realize. Your competition is no longer that chicken head or that cougar with an agenda. Brittany Renner and Heather Abuk are not your competition anymore. Your competition is the woman that is traditional and feminine and lightweight. You thought I was going to say light-skinned, didn't you? No. But she's traditional and she's feminine and she's lightweight and she lives in a traditional part of the world. Therein lies your competition. She's the one that's going to knock the stuffing out of you in the mating market. Because she can be a good woman. She's already in an environment in which men aren't demonized because they like someone. And they may actually make the effort to go and get their man. That's who your competition is. It is women that are nicer than you are, women that are better than you are. And if you think education matters, they're better educated than you are. If you think your mind matters, their minds are more developed than you are. If you think your maturity matters, they're more mature than you are. If you think your morality matters, they're more moral than you are. And they don't come with the same materialistic expectations. They may have a materialistic instinct, but they don't come with the same materialistic expectations as you. It's not always about the exchange rate. Everybody ain't gonna have a lot of money living out here. I'm never gonna have a lot of money. That day's not coming as far as I understand. I always need more than what I have nowadays. I mean, even now. And I'll never have the time to do what it takes to get more money because of the situation of my job. It's always going to be that. Time ticks much faster than money comes in, no matter how hard I work, how smart I work. And I'm not the only one like this because there are other men who have to do a lot more for many more hours and for a lot less pay than me. I'm still relatively one of the lucky ones. Just because it's not worse. And so you have to understand that there are women out there that are ready for this. They know this, they understand it. And you, what you're doing is you're sitting back and you keep making the mistake of thinking that your only competition is Brittany Renner and Hiba Abook and Instagram thoughts that are so ditzy that we can see it. You keep underestimating your competition. And there's another thing I need to point out to you knuckleheads. And I'm going to talk to you Western women in general, and that's the ones of you that are nice, the ones of you that are mean, everything in between. Deanna Gordon has seen this in Jamaica too. Shout out to him. When it comes down to whether or not women are smart or dumb, collectively speaking, we can have that argument all day long, but what I want to point out to you ladies is this. And I want to point it really, you know what, gentlemen, you can benefit from this. And speaking of intelligence, let me state this while I remember because I'll forget otherwise. At the end of this flight, on your way out of the jet black aircraft, please punch the Cash App button if you can. This is to help with administrative fees associated with transferring from one job to another in between next August and next September, inshallah. That's why I'm asking. When you're dealing with these women, gentlemen, notice this. And you can notice this whether you succeed with women or you fail with women. Why do you find dealing with them to be frustrating? You don't find, let's be honest and be very thoughtful about this. You don't find dealing with them to be frustrating because you're just mean and because you're just a bad dude. That's not why. When you think about it, think about whether or not they're intelligent or stupid in the first place. What have we noticed? We have noticed that they are intelligent and stupid. They go back and forth. Notice? How do they go back and forth? Whichever one is not convenient to you is the one that they turn on at the time. And they don't even always realize they're doing it. A lot of you so-called good women or well-meaning women do the same thing. You don't really do it any differently. A lot of you are the exact same way. You also become stupid when it's inconvenient. You become smart when it's inconvenient for the man. Whichever one is going to benefit him, you turn it off because that's just how you were trained. And you think it's funny. This is a joke to you. When the man comes along and the man says to you, look, it's a better idea if we travel to this location or this destination. It costs less. It's the same climate and the same type of food as the one we agreed, as the one we talked about earlier, as the one you suggested, but we'll have more money at the end of the trip. It'll take less time to get there too. You turn off all reason, Western broad. You just turn it off. No, I really want to go over there, and you don't have a reason. You just want to spend more money because it's not yours to spend, it's his. And you think he should just somehow have it. And then if he agrees and you do it and an emergency happens later and it costs the difference, and you realize that you would have had those, or he would have had those emergency funds if you'd listened to him, you don't even go back and say, dang, I should have listened. You will be intelligent at your job. You will be intelligent even in the relationship as long as it's not to his convenience. Then you will be stupid as long as it's not to his convenience. Whichever one is inconvenient to him, you turn it on. And you wonder why it is that men are leaving for women who listen. You learn as long as it's not convenient to him. You don't learn as long as it's not convenient to him. Whichever one that's not convenient, you don't do. And you wonder why men view you the way that they view you in the West. When you do stuff like that, you are simply being difficult. And if a man did this to you, you would leave him the first week. You know you would. Many of you leave men for a lot less. Even a lot of you good women, you don't stay good for long staying out there in the West. And that's part of the reasons why it is that you're not being pursued. There's one young Muslim brother along the Gulf Coast, and I got to tell this young brother, man, I'm very proud of you. Because I found out that you were in discussion with a conservative Christian woman, and that you broke off the discussions and stopped. I'm proud of you. It's not because I have anything against her, but it's because I understand how they flip. See, Western women, even a lot of good Western women, young man, don't stay good to men for long because there's still the training to not be good to men. There's still the social pressure. They may have not have listened to it when they were single, but when they actually get into relationships and they still hear the same pressures, now they're in a relationship or in a marriage, and when they do succumb to that peer pressure, or when they're not strong against it, now they have you to fail. I don't mean they have you so that you can fail. I mean they have you so they can fail you. When you weren't there, they couldn't fail you. And I know because I've seen traditional women coming from places like Ethiopia, and they've lived in the U.S. for long enough, and then they're not that good and traditional anymore. They just lose respect for their husbands. They start thinking of their men as being weak because their men don't nigger swag around the place, traditionally speaking. That's not how Ethiopian men do it. But if you want to see what they will do, try to invade their country. Don't believe me? Ask the Italians. They lost twice to Ethiopia. As a matter of fact, the first time they lost so badly, but you know how Western Europeans are. They're not capable of learning lessons and saying, you know what, that was wrong. They're not capable of that. They lost so badly the first time that in Italy, rumors started that the Ethiopians castrated the Italian soldiers and then sent them back to Italy with no testes attached anymore. That wasn't true. That rumor circulated and incited the Italian population the second time so that they were okay with the second attempt of Italy under Mussolini to invade Ethiopia, and they lost again. But you let these Ethiopian women of these men who defended their butts twice, and successfully too, move to the West, and they lose respect for their men. And I mean, they lose respect for the most traditional of Ethiopian men who spent the most time in Ethiopia in their formative years. Next up, the ones they like the most after that are the Ethiopian Western-born men who still have some of the Western swag. And then next up are the ones who are foreign, but they get into, Western guys that get into Ethiopian culture, but they don't become very docile and soft-spoken the way that Ethiopian men tend to be. And the thing is, like I said, these women lose the ability to see the quiet strength in their own men. They lose that ability. They've had it for thousands of years, and then they spend 5 years in the West and they lose that capacity, and then they leave their husbands. I just couldn't respect him anymore. Ninja, what? So I'm proud of you, young man on the Gulf Coast, for the decision you made. And believe me, I hope and pray and even try to make some effort myself to make it easier for guys like you to finally just fit the guck out. Because it ain't your fault what you got to deal with. You got to deal with what you got to deal with, young brother, because even good women, let alone the agenda-having broads, turn off their intelligence when you need it, and then they turn on their intelligence when just to argue with you, just to go against you. It's like they only have intelligence that's against you, and they're only stupid when that works against you. Their intelligence will never be allowed to work for you, nor their silence. Forget stupidity. You can only lead them in the wrong direction, and even then you can only lead them against your own interest. That's the only direction in which you can lead Western women, and the good women wind up becoming like the others because the pressure's constant and they will not always stand up to it. That's what you got to deal with. No fault of yours. That's not all. Then you got to deal with their dads when they have them, their uncles. And it's not the problem that these guys love these ladies to whom they're related. The issue is that they don't think about the rights of the men and their relative. They don't care. They only look at the rights of their relative and then the wants and the desires of their relatives. Forget about you. You need to be working 3 jobs to take care of her. That means you never have time to spend with her. And if she cheats, you should stay with her. And if she wants you to have an abundance of money and free time to spend with her, then you should have it. Somehow make it happen if you want to stay with her. That's who she is. They want you to stay even if you catch her cheating, but if you catch her cheating and then you stay and they find out about it, then they lose respect for you. Yeah, I guess you don't mind, so it's okay if she cheats then, dummy. You can't win. And what I mentioned about the intelligence and the stupidity It's something that you gentlemen are going to be able to see if you try to appeal to them or if you succeed with them and you don't fail. Either way, because you see this either trying to appeal to them or you see it when you're in a relationship or a marriage with them. Either way it goes, you're going to see this. Also, you cannot, you have to understand that you actually can determine how they're going to act based on how they look. What's the reason for that? It's not because there's a biological tie-in to them being cute and having a bad attitude. It's not biological. The reason is that, see, the Western woman, especially the Western sister, is so used to associating looks with behaviors that they behave based on their looks. They get used to thinking this way about guys that they can't help but think this way about people in general, including themselves. So as they get older, it's not just that they've been told they're cute. That's a big part of it. It's also that they have been told that they can look at God. Maybe it's the other way around. Maybe it's that. But either way it goes, you have to deal with it. If you stay there in the West, you either must stay by yourself like Lion or MGTOW, or you have to deal with a gender that believes so strongly that looks and behavior are biologically tied together that they're going to make assumptions about your behavior based on your looks, and sometimes you will never be able to prove them wrong. And I know, ask me how I know about that. Light-skinned, racially ambiguous looking guy, even though I tend to forget that at times, as you all just heard. Growing up along the Gulf Coast where it's really messy. Oh God, yeah. Absolutely. I didn't just have to swing on some dudes. It wasn't just that. I had to do it in front of large numbers of people. Now, I didn't put two and two together at first, but I had to do this in front of witnesses. Now, I did this to embarrass them. And also to send a message to other guys. I didn't think about the effect it was going to have on the women. But I found out that it was actually women that didn't even see or witness these fights, that heard about these fights. They started treating me differently. And to be honest with you, truth be told, some of these same women began to forget. Within 5 months of the first and the second fight, because those two were within 2 weeks of each other, within 5 months of that, a lot of sisters who had heard about these fights began to forget that I would swing on someone and give them a serious headache to last for hours. They began to forget about that. And some of them began testing boundaries again. And they were all black girls. I'm not sure I could call them women. We were teenagers. But all of them were sisters. Not a single non-white woman felt okay with just arbitrarily testing boundaries for the fun of it. Not after that. Granted, I wasn't around them very often, but that wasn't something that they did when I was around them. I'm telling you all that they believe this so strongly that you can tie looks to behavior, that even when you prove that it's wrong, after seeing you enough times, after you've proven to them that their assumptions were wrong, they go back to the same assumptions, because that's how deeply in their minds appearances are tied to behaviors. Look at Jonathan Majors. Look at Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan is not allowed to tell sisters, watch your damn mouths, watch how you talk, watch what you say. He's not allowed to tell them that. That's exactly what the backlash is about when he said, oh yeah, the corny kid, right? Yeah. And then he went on with the rest of the interview and answered the questions nicely and civilly. He actually didn't say anything mean to her. Nothing. And see, the thing is that though he's not, they don't see him as bad off as they did when he was younger. The fact remains that every so often he still has to put his foot down and set a boundary somewhere, and then they still can't respect it. He was Killmonger. You know, sisters tend to associate actors with their characters. Many people do that. It's not just sisters. But even after Killmonger, even after he fought and died like a true warrior in the first Black Panther movie, whether the character, was right and wrong, after his character fought and died for what he believed in, I will tolerate no crap off of no oppressors, and I will tolerate no dissension or enabling of these oppressors, even after he died on that stance, which is exactly what it is that sisters say they want. Don't think for 1 second, and this is what I meant when I said that they will separate it. They will turn their intelligence or their stupidity on whichever one works against you. That's what I meant when I said it. Don't think for 1 second that they didn't view Michael B. Jordan the same as Killmonger because they were separating the actor from their character. That's not how they roll. They do that if it works against you. That's them using their intelligence against the guy. If being stupid works against the guy, then they're going to be stupid and then associate that character with the intelligence. That's what they did with Jaleel White. See, with Jaleel White, the actor that played Steve Urkel, they kept associating him with Urkel, because that's the stupid thing to do, but it's to his disfavor and not to his favor. It's against his interest. So they did it. Michael B. Jordan, it is to his favor if they associate him with his character. So what they do is they separate him from his character. He played in another action movie where he killed Russian mobsters for taking out his family. He was a bad behind in that movie. He was a bad mother, shut your mouth. Just talking about his character. I can dig it. He was that one in this movie. And the thing is that in this movie, I forgot the name of it, but he was still a bad dude. Sisters will not associate him with these characters, even though that's what they would normally do. So what are we learning from this? We are learning that sisters do whatever and they conclude whatever is inconvenient to you. And they'll do it half the time based on looks and appearance alone. That's why they're not doing this with dudes that got gold teeth and tats and some muscles. And even then, that's not enough. They still want to know you got some kids, some baby mamas, and some felonies. That's what the hell it takes. Nothing else. There's literally nothing else. I shouldn't say nothing else. No, there's going to be some more, because even then when they get those dudes, they flip on them. I'm not here just to complain about these broads. What I'm here to tell you, gentlemen, is that there's no way this could be your fault. And what I'm here to tell you, ladies that are listening, is that, yeah, it is your fault. All of it except what I've already said is our fault, which is being too easy, turning off our intelligence, or turning it on, whichever one is most convenient to you, because we were trying to win you over. We are guilty of the opposite. There's nothing else that is our fault in this. NMF, not men's fault, is one of the most controversial things that you can say in this day and time. Not men's fault, because it's not. I've gone on for more than a half hour, and I'm sorry about that, y'all. And I appreciate y'all being patient. Got a lot on my mind, so if I say the same things twice, forgetting that I already said it, forgive me. I mean no harm. I want to thank you all for listening, and to all those who have donated, I want to thank you. For about the next 2 months, I will have to ask. It depends on how much I get, but I may have to ask for more. I'll try my best not to even need to, but I may have to. I'm going to have to try to get this business open at some point. Opening dates coming, scheduled opening dates come and gone. I don't know if it's ever going to open. I don't know. This thing may fail. And I'm trying to help a young brother that's SYSBM and Muslim, most importantly, make an exit out of the States before he expected. He's got his own projections, but I'm trying to help speed that along to his surprise. And in the meantime, I would like to do some better editing, and I think he could do it. So I want to put a little coin in his pocket for his, mine, and your benefit. And I want to thank you all before I go for getting me up to 4,000 subscribers. I really do appreciate that from the bottom of my black heart and from the depth of my black mind. As always, black heart, black mind, black out, assalamu alaikum, and black heterosexual non-selective male power just because they don't like it. Black patriarch until extinction of Judgment Day. And thank you for flying again with me on Jet Black Airways, where jet black is also a verb. Keep jetting black with me till the wings and the wheels fall off. Gender justice forever.